Cabrera did not have custodial rights to Vanity, and according to family, the child was being taken care of by other family members.
She has zero custody. I have all the paperwork. We literally just had the cops come today because she was in my house trying to, she was here at my house trying to take her, and we said no, and she took her anyways.
Police say they got a call about a kidnapping, and the driver of this SUV, 32-year-old Pamela Cabrera, is a suspect.
Police say she kidnapped her daughter while armed, led officers on a chase, and crashed into this retention pond.
I hope that kid's
dead. Kid's dead.
March 31st, 2022, Jacksonville, Florida. A peaceful spring evening descended into unimaginable horror. On this day, 5-year-old Vanity Cabrera's life was cut short in a way no child deserves. The sun was setting over the busy interchanges of a 95 and 9B when sirens ripped through the air. Police cars tore down the highways at over 90 miles per hour, chasing a silver vehicle. But inside that speeding car was not a dangerous fugitive on the run. It was a frightened little girl and her own mother behind the wheel. As officers pursued, unaware of what would unfold in mere minutes, drivers along the route watched in stunned confusion as the chase weaved through traffic lights and exits. What began as a routine kidnapping report would soon become one of Jacksonville's most haunting tragedies. Today, we unravel the heartbreaking story of Vanity Cabrera, a child who spent her last moments trapped in a sinking car, while the mother who should have protected her chose a path of irreversible destruction. What drove Pamela Cabrera to flee with her daughter at knife point? Could anyone have stopped this? And what happened in the dark waters of that retention pond as officers dove in, desperately trying to save a life already slipping away? This is not just a story of a police pursuit gone wrong. It is a story of mental illness, a failed system, and the unimaginable cost when society's safety nets break. Stay with us as we investigate every chilling detail. Pamela Cabrera's life had long been dominated by mental illness. Diagnosed with chronic severe bipolar disorder, with psychotic features and schizoaffective disorder, she was no stranger to psychiatric institutions or medication regimens. Family and court records paint the portrait of a woman trapped in cycles of treatment, breakdown, and recovery. Her daughter Vanity was only 5. Bright-eyed with long curls framing her delicate face, she lived with relatives due to her mother's instability. Court orders had denied Pamela legal custody, fearing exactly what would come to pass. To Vanity, Pamela was a distant, sometimes frightening presence. To Pamela, Vanity was her world, but that love was clouded by delusion and paranoia. On March 31st, everything unraveled. According to reports, Pamela armed herself with a knife and abducted Vanity, driving off despite knowing she was not permitted to take her. A 911 call from Whitney Baez alerted police that Vanity had been kidnapped by her mother with a weapon.
Jackson 911 was the location of your emergency. Hi, I would like to report a kidnapping. Where you at? I am in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, are you the one that was kidnapped? Who was kidnapped? She came and took her, and she just sped off in the car with her. She has no custody at all. She has zero custody. I have all the paperwork. We literally just had the cops come today because she was in my house trying to, she was here at my house trying to take her, and we said no, and she took her anyways. Do you know what kind of vehicle she was in? Yeah, she's in a gold Nissan Murano. I have the license plate number. How long ago did they leave? She just left. She just sped off, right now. All right. And is she supposed to be around? No, she's not supposed to have, she's allowed to have visitation, but only supervised. So I was standing right there with her, my newborn, and she sped off.
Officers were dispatched immediately. Pamela's erratic behavior had been escalating. Earlier that day, she called police herself, insisting she had visitation rights.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
I don't know the exact address. I think it's, let me see. Hold on. And the thing is that I need a cop to come. I think it's called. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get to the street name right now. Okay, so I have visitation rights to the court.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in my sister's house. So I need to see her from my sister's home. She don't want me in her house. So I said, I'm going to call the cops and take care so I can see my daughter.
Any drinking, drugs, or weapons?
No,
What's your last name? A good callback number for you?
this one.
What is this one? Okay, are you there at the,
Yeah, I'm right in front of the house. Still not out of school yet. She gets out of school. They haven't even went to go pick her up yet. But I'm here because they're going to go pick her up now.
Okay.
And I just need the cops to be here so they can solve the... Because she don't want me to be here, but I came to... Because I got the visitation right.
Okay, I'll have officer out there to you.
Okay, thank you, bye.
You're welcome.
But these calls were dismissed as delusional. The stage was set for tragedy long before the chase even began. It was around dusk when officers spotted Pamela's car at the intersection of Biscayne Boulevard and Dunn Avenue. Sirens blared, lights flashed, but instead of pulling over, she slammed her foot on the gas. The silver vehicle tore down highways at speeds reaching 90 miles per hour. Red lights were ignored, and other drivers barely swerved in time. For nearly 30 miles, the pursuit continued, winding through Jacksonville's major roads as officers radioed in her movements. In those fleeting moments, Vanity sat quietly in the front seat, unaware of the looming danger. Dash cams recorded every desperate turn. When Pamela approached the interchange for 9B West, she tried to exit, but in her panic, she missed the curve. Her car shot forward, crossed a grassy slope, and plunged directly into the dark waters of a retention pond. Police cars screeched to a halt on the roadside. Officers sprinted towards the pond as the car bobbed once, then began sinking. Pamela scrambled out through a window and clung to a floating tire.
Ready?
But Vanity remained trapped inside as water rushed into the car. Body cam footage captures the frantic attempts of officers to reach her. Shouts fill the air. One officer stripped his vest and dove repeatedly, struggling to open doors already locked by the pressure. Within minutes, the car vanished beneath the murky surface. As the sun set behind the tree line near Y95, the flashing lights of patrol cars illuminated the darkening pond where Vanity Cabrera's life ended. 5-year-old Vanity lay strapped in her seat, silent and still.
I hope that kid's...
Kid's dead. Kid's dead. Like an 8-year-old little child. That's why I wasn't going to let go. That's why I wasn't giving up.
For the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the investigation into Vanity's death began right there, knee-deep in mud and grief. Detectives cordoned off the area with yellow tape as officers stood by, silent and shaken by what they had just witnessed. Body cam footage captured the anguished voices of those who dove again and again, praying they would find the child alive.
Yeah, we just got her out.
Okay, is there a kid in there? All right.
There's a kid in the car.
There's a small kid. Small kid in the car.
But prayers weren't enough that day. In the hours following, a flood of questions arose. Why was Pamela Cabrera driving with Vanity if she did not have custody? How did she manage to abduct her daughter with a knife, evade immediate apprehension, and then lead officers on a 30-mile chase ending in death? Detectives interviewed the officers involved, collecting dash cam and body cam footage frame by frame. The video evidence showed Pamela's silver car speeding through intersections, narrowly avoiding collisions, and weaving across lanes in sheer desperation. The investigation expanded into Pamela's mental health records. Court filings and medical documents revealed a long history of psychiatric illness. She had been diagnosed with chronic severe bipolar disorder with psychotic features, as well as schizoaffective disorder. Over the years, she had been in and out of psychiatric care, prescribed strong medications, and flagged multiple times as unstable. Her family and medical providers knew she was a danger to herself and potentially to others when untreated. Detectives consulted with the Department of Children and Families to understand why Vanity was allowed any contact with her mother, despite these warnings. It became clear that Vanity had been living with family members for her safety. Yet somehow, on March 31st, Pamela accessed her daughter without intervention from authorities or care agencies. Forensic teams examined the vehicle after it was towed from the pond. Water damage destroyed much of the interior, but seatbelt locks and child restraints were intact. Toxicology tests showed no alcohol or illicit substances in Pamela's system, further supporting her attorney's argument that untreated mental illness alone drove her behavior.
In 2020, they gave me Vanity. I had it for a whole month because they took Vanity away from her because she was having mental health problems.
It's incredibly sad that not just because it was a young girl that passed, but that the mother was having mental health issues and probably could have used some help.
A mother abducting her child with a knife, speeding from police, and ending her daughter's life in a watery grave was a narrative too shocking to process. For the officers involved, counseling was offered. Many described nightmares of that evening, seeing Vanity's small figure submerged beneath dark water, knowing their best efforts could not save her. The investigation concluded with clear charges: aggravated manslaughter of a child, and aggravated fleeing or attempting to elude police causing death. Prosecutors argued that Pamela's decision to run, drive recklessly, and miss the exit directly caused Vanity's death, regardless of her mental state. But for Vanity's family, the criminal investigation was only the first step. They filed a civil lawsuit against multiple agencies, including Lifestream Behavioral Center, Eckerd Youth Alternatives, the LJD Jewish Family and Community Services, and Family Support Services, alleging that their collective negligence placed Vanity in harm's way. The lawsuit argued these agencies failed to enforce custody restrictions, failed to treat Pamela adequately, and failed to protect a vulnerable child from a mother known to be severely mentally ill and off her medication. Investigators wrapped their case with a chilling conclusion. Vanity's death was not just the result of a mother's crime. It was the final chapter in a story of systemic failure, untreated mental illness, and a child lost forever to preventable tragedy. The criminal trial of Pamela Cabrera began with a heavy atmosphere inside the Duval County Courthouse. In it sat a woman with uncombed hair, hollow cheeks, and eyes glazed with medication. This was not the frenzied mother who sped away with her daughter. This was Pamela Cabrera, stripped of delusion, medicated, and subdued. Initially, Pamela was found incompetent to stand trial. Psychiatric evaluations determined she was unable to comprehend the proceedings or assist her attorneys due to her severe psychotic symptoms. For months, she remained at a state hospital, undergoing stabilization treatments, until doctors ruled she was fit for court. Her attorneys prepared an insanity defense. They argued that her bipolar disorder with psychotic features and schizoaffective disorder rendered her incapable of understanding the consequences of her actions on March 31st.
All right, very well. Based on my review of the report, Dr. Meadows' report, applying applicable legal standards after an independent review, this court finds that Ms. Cabrera is incompetent to proceed, meets the criteria for involuntary hospitalization, that there is a reasonable probability that Ms. Cabrera will regain competency within a reasonable period of time.
I think it really does underscore the nature of the mental illness that Pamela Cabrera suffered from and still suffers from. You can see by her behavior in court that she's acting irrationally.
In her mind, they argued, she was not fleeing police to harm Vanity. She believed she was protecting her from imagined threats. During pretrial hearings, Vanity's family sat in silence. At times, sobs broke out as prosecutors described the frantic rescue efforts at the pond. Body cam footage was played in court. Officers diving repeatedly into black water, muffled shouts echoing from their vests. Some jurors wept openly, but in January 2024, Pamela Cabrera unexpectedly pleaded guilty to 2 charges: aggravated manslaughter of a child and aggravated felony fleeing or attempting to elude causing death.
Your plea to the court was to counts 1 and 3 with a range between 10 and 30 years. After hearing the presentation from both sides and taking into consideration aggravation and mitigation that's provided, regardless of the guidelines, based on the serious nature of the offense, as to count 1 and count 3, based on the plea, the maximum being allowed is 30 years. The court sees fit that based on the aggravation involved to sentence you to the maximum allowed. and be adjudicated guilty on counts 1 and 3, be sentenced to 30 years.
It was a decision that stunned observers. Her attorneys explained that a plea deal ensured Pamela avoided a potential life sentence while sparing Vanity's family from prolonged testimony. The plea acknowledged her guilt while still allowing her team to cite mental illness in sentencing considerations. The sentencing hearing in October 2024 was emotionally charged. Pamela sat slouched, staring at the table before her. The prosecution described the timeline of Vanity's death with harrowing clarity. She drove at over 90 miles per hour, ran red lights, and missed an exit. She escaped the sinking car, leaving her child trapped. That is not illness alone. That is reckless disregard for human life.
Cabrera's sister, Whitney Baez, testified that she had custody of Cabrera's 5-year-old daughter, Vanity, because of Cabrera's mental health issues and erratic behavior. But prosecutors argued Cabrera knew exactly what she was doing, despite her mental health issues.
The defendant's actions in this case killed her own child, endangered people on the roadways, endangered the lives of officers who were attempting to rescue her and the child.
Her defense team countered, detailing psychiatric hospitalizations, medication failures, and how her untreated illness distorted reality. They pleaded for leniency, suggesting a reduced prison term with mandatory psychiatric care. "She is a very sick woman," her attorney said, voice cracking. "She did not intend for this outcome. Her mind was broken." Family members of Vanity spoke before the court. Her aunt sobbed uncontrollably, stating, "Every night I close my eyes, I see her there. She was only 5. She loved to dance. She loved her mom. She trusted her mom." When the judge delivered the sentence, 30 years in prison, Pamela showed little reaction. Courtroom footage showed her later being removed by deputies after an outburst, shouting incoherent phrases about Vanity still being alive.
A Jacksonville mom expected to be sentenced today for the death of her 5-year-old daughter is kicked out of the courtroom for being so disruptive.
I wrote
this letter for you.
I know, you'll give it a chance. It's okay. We'll take your time. It's not a problem.
Can I give it to you?
Not right now. You can give it to you can give it to your attorney in the back.
I was gonna say something, you made me forget what I was gonna say.
Her eyes darted around, filled with confusion and fear. For a moment it was clear the illness remained, gnawing at what little clarity she had left. The sentence closed the criminal chapter of Vanity Cabrera's death, but left a lingering question in the air. Was justice truly served? For some, Pamela's imprisonment felt hollow. For others, it was the only accountability available in a case where mental illness collided fatally with a system unable to protect the most vulnerable. In the weeks following the sentencing, Jacksonville's grief shifted from shock to anger. Candlelight vigils were held near the pond where Vanity drowned. Pink and white balloons floated into the evening sky as community members gathered to mourn the little girl they never knew, but whose story tore at their hearts. News segments highlighted not just Vanity's death, but the systems that failed to protect her. Local anchors questioned how a woman with documented psychosis and a history of institutionalization was able to abduct her daughter at knife point. For the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the trauma lingered. Officers involved in the pursuit and rescue were placed on mandatory counseling. In interviews, one diver described nightmares of reaching Vanity only to find her unresponsive, trapped by her seatbelt as the car filled with water. "We train for rescues like that," he said, voice breaking, "but nothing prepares you to pull out a child." Pamela Cabrera was transferred to the Florida Women's Reception Center to begin her 30-year sentence. Correctional officers reported she often muttered to herself about Vanity being alive, hallucinating conversations with her daughter. Psychiatrists continued treatment, but her condition remained severe. Attorneys for the family stated, "This was not an isolated failure. This was a systemic failure from top to bottom. Vanity was failed by everyone who should have protected her." The lawsuit seeks damages for wrongful death and aims to force policy changes within Florida's child protection and mental health systems. The case is ongoing, with hearings set for later this year. In the community, Vanity's death sparked discussions about mental health reform. Advocacy groups highlighted the lack of crisis intervention programs for parents with severe psychotic illnesses. But amidst these broader movements was a simpler, more intimate grief. At Vanity's funeral, her small white casket was adorned with pink roses and stuffed animals. Family members placed handwritten letters inside promising never to forget her. Her father, silent through most of the service, finally spoke. She was my baby. She deserved to grow up. She deserved a life. For Pamela Cabrera, her prison term may last until old age, but the mental prison of guilt, hallucination, and grief is something she will carry forever. Whether justice was served remains debated, but for Vanity, justice can never reverse the dark waters that stole her life. The story of Vanity Cabrera forces us to confront a painful truth. Sometimes evil is not born from hatred or malice, but from untreated sickness and systemic neglect. Vanity's death was not the act of a calculating killer hiding in the shadows. It was the final tragedy in a life shaped by chaos, fear, and failure at every level. Pamela Cabrera loved her daughter. Those who knew her insist that before illness consumed her mind, she was gentle, affectionate, and proud of Vanity. But mental illness does not care about love. Untreated, it becomes its own dark force, whispering delusions that twist reality into paranoia and desperation. As we close this case, remember Vanity not for how she died, but for who she was. A 5-year-old girl who loved pink dresses and storybooks, who danced barefoot in the living room, who trusted that her mother would keep her safe. Her death should never have happened. And yet there are others like her, trapped in silent suffering as the world looks away. If this story leaves you with anger, let it. If it leaves you with grief, let it. But above all, let it remind you that society is judged not by how it treats the powerful, but how it protects the powerless. Tonight, as darkness falls over Jacksonville, the pond where Vanity died sits still and silent. But her story ripples outward, a reminder that mental illness left untreated becomes not just an individual tragedy, but a societal failure with fatal consequences. Thank you for staying with us through this heartbreaking journey. If you believe stories like Vanity's need to be heard to create change, please like this video, share it with those who care about child safety and mental health reform, and subscribe to our channel for more true crime documentaries that reveal the hidden tragedies of our time. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember, justice is only real when it protects the innocent before it's too late.